Up live on the interwebs. Welcome everybody to our. Are we live? I think we are. Yes, welcome to our Success Mastermind for Monday, the 21st of December, 2020, the solstice, the darkest day of the year, the day I met my wife. Yes, true story. The day I met my wife, the darkest day of the year. We still joke about that 20 something years later. Good to see everybody. We are mid conversation in a pretty dark topic, but we're going to go ahead and take this up and we're going to shed some light on it here in just a minute. I do see a few of my favorite people on the planet. Of course, Adrian's here, and it looks like Neil Jane's probably lurking in the weeds somewhere over there. We got Jody and Evelyn, Bill, Mark. Good to see Coral, Elmer. Good to see you, brother. Ego, live from Doha, Qatar. Qatar. I got to say that right. Hey, Toyin, Stuart. Stuart's going to be talking with us about the solstice this week as well. Of course, Daisy's here and Edward. Hey, Sharon, Cyril, Khaled, Sandy, Ivier, Stella, Sandra, Lindsay's here. Oh my goodness, everybody. Lindsay's here. Who let her in? Mary, Suzanne, and Glenn, and more people piling in as we speak. Good to see you, Mark. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We were just talking a little bit about lockdowns. That's cheerful, right? Christmas and Tier 3, Tier 4, England, London, Northern Ireland. Not to make too light of a situation, which obviously is affecting a lot of people significantly. And on that note, I'm looking at on a macro sense, what can we do about it, right? And on a micro sense, what can we do about it? There's a couple of things, and I'm sure I could start arguments over this and everything else. I can tell you from where I sit right now in Phoenix, Arizona, middle of the Sonoran Desert, USA, right? It's pretty much business as usual. Business as usual. I don't see anything different. Now, could that be just ignorance, right? These ignorant Americans. I think a lot of the world considers us ignorant Americans. A lot of us Americans consider us ignorant Americans. Or could it be something else? So I'm going to, I have a topic today that I want to introduce, which I think correlates beautifully with this. And it's based on a book that I read not too long ago. I probably deserve to read it again here pretty soon. But it has to do with meaning. And what does it all mean? And I'm thinking right now, because I'm communicating with all of you who are, as I already mentioned, some of my favorite people on the planet. I want nothing more than for you to be spectacularly successful. And not only that, a shining light to others, right? When I think of people like Ego and, Jane and Bill and Toyin, I think of, these people are going out into the world and making a spectacle of yourself in a good way, right? People look and say, oh, well, if I could be a bit more like Bill. Bill's got his act together, man. Bill, do you ever think anybody would say that about you? Bill, man, that guy's got his act together. But I'll tell you what, relatively speaking, I mean, look around, right? And this is something that I had to notice, and I have to keep noticing for myself. And I think there's a key right there. I have to keep noticing for myself, auto-suggestion, reminders. Who are you, John? Where are you going? What are you doing? Why? Why are you doing it? Right? So these reminders that keep coming up for me or not. A lot of times they don't keep coming up for me and I forget. And I start succumbing to the seduction of all the appearances, of all the problems, of all the difficulties. Oh my goodness. And nothing can be done about it. And I'm a victim. We're all victims. Is that the conversation we're going to be in? Is that it? Is that what got us this far in life? Come on, right? So I'm thinking of a book. And I'll be brief on this. Yeah, right. I'll be brief on this because I want to hear your all thoughts on it as it relates to COVID and lockdowns and all this, and as it relates to just you doing your thing, because our theme all month has been start 2021 now, right? Whatever this turd was that you experienced, and some of us, I could tell you one of my businesses has the highest stats it's ever had in its history this past month. Like through the friggin' roof stats. Holy crap. So crisis, opportunity, right? They go hand in hand. In fact, I heard in one Chinese dialect or something, the word crisis and the word opportunity are the same word. Or maybe it was Japanese or Korean. I don't know. But consider that crisis and opportunity. They go together. But as it relates to what you're doing now and moving forward, I'd like for you to consider what's about to just fall out of my brain, which I wasn't even thinking about until I tuned in here with everyone. And that is a book by a guy named Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl. The title of the book is Man's Search for Meaning. Anybody ever read this book? Um, Interesting book. Viktor Frankl was a Jew in Nazi concentration camps. He was a professor, and one of his jobs was to do as he was told by his is potentate the right word? By his captors, and to haul out the dead bodies and all this. Pretty dark stuff. A little bit darker than, well, since it is the solstice, the darkest day of the year, unless you guys are listening to this down under, right? Then it's the brightest day of the year. But pretty apropos topic. But anyway, this was not a pleasing situation. This was something where you could say he had very little liberty, as least liberty as you could possibly have. You either do this work or you'll be one of them. How's that sound for a slave state sort of a situation, right? Pretty dark. I've not experienced that, not as John Lavenia anyway, maybe in previous existences or something, but I've not experienced that. And yet this guy survived. This guy survived to write a whole book about it and about what he did with it, right? And the book was Man's Search for Meaning. And a couple of the takeaways from the book, you can go read it for yourself. Okay, but there's a difference between liberty and freedom. He said one of the ideas, I don't know if he said this directly, but one of the ideas that I got from the book is that the Nazis had more liberty. They could move about and do what they want. He did not have liberty, but he had freedom. He had more freedom than those who were being run by an ideology, a dictate from the Fuhrer or whatever it was, right? The Gestapo and running these concentration camps. They did not have the freedom of thought and of choice. A lot of these people, who committed these war crimes and atrocities later, well, I mean, you can read the accounts for yourself, right? It's like, how would a human being do that? Like, what does it take for a human being to do that? It's being controlled is what it is. Because, I mean, there is such a thing as ethics and morals, right? There is such a thing. But they had more liberty, but they didn't have the freedom that he had. And it came down to the freedom of thought. The one thing that they couldn't take from him was what meaning he added to it, or what he made of that in his mind, what he visualized. And he visualized himself being in Los Angeles and driving down the street with the palm trees and lecturing to his students as a professor in a free land. And he survived and he came through. So whereas there is a mindset of succumb, there's also a mindset of survive. And I think as we go through life, and there's lots you can read on this sort of thing. As we go through life, we have wins, we have losses, right? And we accumulate both. And the big question for me is, again, meaning, right? What meaning do I ascribe to the wins or the losses? Some people who we might say are fortunate, lucky, whatever, right? They identify with their wins. I am so successful. Look at me. Everything I touch turns to gold. Others, we could say, and this is just in stark contrast, okay, so there's a gradient in between, but others, the polar opposite would be, I identify with my losses. I am a loser. So not that this was a losing situation, right? Can't win them all. Well, guess what? You can't lose them all either, right? But if we identify as the loser, if that's our identity, well, we just added some meaning to that event. These circumstances, which were, let's say, unpleasing, which are now in the past, of course, right? That's done. Okay, so is that what you're going to keep carrying around? Or are the wins what we're going to keep carrying around? So man's search for meaning, what does it all mean, right? I guess we could take this on a big macro sense. What does it all mean? This whole event that we've been in for some time here. What does it all mean? Well, what do you say it means? Does that mean that now is the time better than ever to engage hardcore with online business? I'd say so. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good meaning that I can invent. I can invent that meaning. Yeah, that means that holy crap, stats are about to go through the roof again. Man, get your catcher's mitt on. Here comes the money, right? Okay. Or we could say, oh, I'm clinging on to these outworn methods that barely worked before these events, these circumstances, these negative things, right? And I'm clinging on to them, and now I'm not able. And look, we have people. Let me be let me be very, open and accommodating. Let me be accommodating, because we have people who certainly they've been in their career for 30, 40, 50 years, right? They know their ways, right? Which we could say in modern times here on the interwebs and everything, that their ways may seem kind of Amish, right? Very low tech. There's something to be said for that, by the way. I know Amish people who make over $20,000 a month doing, mail order e-commerce kind of stuff, by the way. They don't necessarily have a high tech approach, but they can sure engage in it because they've learned other ways, right, to participate. But the idea of, and I don't say this in a religious sense, the idea of being Amish in your approach could be like, all we know is what we do in our village, and we don't see outside of our village. We don't want to know what's happening outside of our village. This may not be fair, okay, to the a truly Amish person. And it's just like a saying here in the the marketing world is like an Amish approach to marketing, where we do what we've always done, and that's what we do. And look, I love tradition. I love not rocking the boat when something's working. You can add things to it, but don't pull the plug on something because some snake oil salesman told you, hey, you got to abandon that because this is the new way. And I did that, by the way. I did that in my business years ago. In fact, I even wrote about this in my first book. Was I lost the most important thing any business person can have in terms of actual production, and that is momentum. I lost momentum because I was seduced by, hey, here's these new methods, these old ones don't work anymore, abandon those and go with these. Wrong answer. No, add experimental new methods to things that are already working. So what if you find yourself in a situation where things aren't already working? You got to start fresh. Well, start fresh with what's working now in the lives of others. Hence the value of a mastermind group like we experience here every day, multiple times a day. We're going to do this multiple times today as well. We've got our e-commerce work group with Stuart coming up. We got our book study tonight, chapter 1 of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Get excited. Get excited. We're going to hit 2021 really friggin' hard. I'm excited. So can we look and see, this is how innovation happens, by the way. Can we look and see how others are surviving and yet thriving in the face of the same exact circumstances that other people are bemoaning? Can we see that? Are we willing to see that? Not if our identity is identified with the loser. We've got to create some distance, some objectivity, some separation from, here are the non-pleasing events, the circumstances, the results, which we did not prefer. And here's who we are in relation to that. And for me, for me, this requires autosuggestion. It requires a constant reminder. And I'm in the thick of it. My goodness. And I'm looking at the news reports, and which is not a good thing to do. And I'm looking at statistics which weren't pleasing, and I'm looking at appearances, and I'm emotionally involved. And now I've got to force solutions on these problems. I have to force solutions, which, you know what? I can't solve the problem right now. I've got an unsolvable problem. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Look, when I'm in that, and I get in that, yes, I get in that after 30 something years of study and personal development. I haven't arrived. I get in that. What do I have to do if I'm smart? Which I'm not always, okay? But if I'm smart, get away from the computer screen. Get away from it. Go in a different environment. If you're in this room, go in the other room. Go somewhere quiet. Go sit and listen to your breath. Say a prayer or something, whatever you do, an affirmation, which is another word for prayer, right? I mean, it's Paul said, pray without ceasing. That's out of the Bible, right? What does that mean? Think on these things of good report. Keep thinking on these things. Keep thinking on these things. Pray without ceasing. Okay, great. I am healthy, rich, and grateful. Wealth right now. That's an affirmation. Wealth right now. Does wealth exist right now? It does. It does. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I am healthy, rich, and grateful. Okay. Am I healthy? Yeah, there I am. I'm doing my thing. Rich? Well, relatively speaking, my goodness, I'm doing really good. Really, really good. Grateful? I am now. I wasn't 15 seconds ago. Thank you. Thank you becomes my prayer. All right. What were we doing again? Oh, that's right. We were causing things to happen. We were causing things. That's what it means. It means that I can rehabilitate cause. in my life. Yes, something can be done about it, says me, and says any other conscious thinking person, right? You are not, a ball just floating on the waves of life, being tossed to and fro and to and fro. And sometimes people feel that way, and sometimes I feel that way. But I'll tell you what, there's not a whole lot of peace in mind in thinking, fatalistic thoughts of, what's the use anyway, right? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I've got no causation in that. Therefore, I have no responsibility in that. Therefore, I am a victim. Victimhood and irresponsibility are one and the same. So, what part of this, whatever this is, can I be responsible for? And the more objective I can be about that, the more rational I can be about that. No intelligent action comes from a fearful mind. We learned this in the final chapter of Think and Grow Rich, the 6 Ghosts of Fear, right? What was the ingredient? What was the formula to destroy yourself? Indecision, also known as procrastination. Seedling of fear, fear crystallizes into doubt, or seedling of doubt, doubt crystallizes into fear. Indecision, doubt, fear. Do that, you lose. You lose. So, can we make some decisions? Not if we're sitting there, as someone who can't do anything about it. What does it all mean? What does it all mean? Look, in the macro sense, and this is also where meditation has helped me. In the macro sense, when I really do get quiet, and I really do, and Nicola helps us with this on Tuesday mornings or afternoons, depending on your time zone. So tune in tomorrow. But in the larger sense, and this may sound far out, guys, all right, deal with it. But if I'm sitting there, I'm quiet, and I'm getting a bit cosmic, let's say, out of body sort of thing. Some of you have experienced this. And I start to objectively look at this thing, this action, this thing called John, or this Johning device that I'm doing. I'm like, man, that's a tiny little speck on a tiny little speck inside, this huge thing, which is, I don't know, where does the universe end? I don't know. I mean, my goodness, the amount of emotion and the amount of attachment and the amount of concern I have for this speck on a speck inside this enormous thing. Wow. Undo. Okay. Temporal. Yes. I can put it in perspective a bit. Tiny speck on a tiny speck. Is that a self-deprecating thing? Is that what that is? Look, I'm so insignificant. I'm a tiny speck. No, I think I can tell you how it occurs to me. It's liberating, because then I remember, oh, I'm that which is observing the tiny speck. I'm not the tiny speck. I'm that which is observing this vastness. And I heard someone say there are no nouns, there are only verbs, right? There is no, John isn't a noun. John is what this energy is doing right now. It's a doingness. It's not a thing. I don't mean to get quantum with everyone here, but I'm thinking, if you can expand your view, right? If we've got our problems right here in our face, what is any game comprised of? Any game has freedoms, you can do certain things, has barriers, you can't do those things, and has a purpose, right? But if all we do is we sidestep the freedoms, let's not look at the freedoms, let's just look at the barriers right in our face constantly. If that's all we're ever looking at, man, that doesn't make for a very enjoyable game, right? What if we refocused on purpose? What if we looked again at the purpose and then balanced? Yeah, we have these abilities, we have these inabilities, right? Okay, well, what can we do to develop our strengths and manage our weaknesses? Develop our strengths, manage our weaknesses, rather than just constantly belaboring the idea and bemoaning our weaknesses. What can we do to develop our strengths? And then manage our weaknesses with the strengths of others. Again, the value of a mastermind group. You don't try and tackle global problems, or things that are bigger than just you, right? Problems that affect a group of people. You don't do that alone. You do that as a group. This is something that I had to learn as the lone wolf, as the unlicked cub, as the loner in life. There's no one like me, right? I'm the only one. I had all this kind of self-pity and centeredness, which ultimately landed me in a really rough spot and got me on the path. Fortunately for me. If you have any doubt that there's grace in the world, right here I still am. My goodness, fortunately got me on the path of personal development and a bit more resourceful thinking. But it was through monumental self-centeredness and self-pity that I then, out of necessity, had to embrace some principles. Right, my life wasn't working at all, and yet I couldn't tackle that beast alone. Why do I choose to do so many things alone? Well, I can blame my upbringing, right? I was alone a lot as a kid, social outcast, yada, yada, right? Fill in the blank. Again, meaning, all meanings that I can either identify with and ascribe to my current state, or I can objectively look. It all comes down to objectivity. And I could say, who am I in the face of that? What part of that can I be responsible for? And part of being responsible is knowing what I'm not responsible for. You know what? Those things are out of my control. What is the serenity prayer? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Serenity. All right, go sit and meditate. Go get serene. The courage to change the things I can. Do something, right? If you can do something, well, then do something. And the wisdom to know the difference. And that's the part that I've struggled with probably most in my life. The wisdom to know the difference. We've talked about this before. I think as we get ready for the new season, literally and figuratively in our lives, we've got to decide how we're going to show up in every aspect. And these little reminders, constant spaced repetition. I'm about to post something on Facebook. Okay, who's showing up? What is the purpose of this post? How do I intend to occur in the lives of whoever I'm going to touch right now? And I don't know who it's going to be, right? Conscious, just being conscious of this. So if we can be affected, I guess here's the punchline. If we can be affected, well, then we can also have an effect, can't we? Right? There's got to be two sides of the coin. There is such a thing as the law of polarity. So what effect can I have in the face of whatever this is? And am I even looking at it accurately? Most often in my life, the answer is no, I am not. Reality is not as it is as we are, and I've got filters, and they're not all clean. They're not all clean. So I could use a little assistance from my friends here to see things objectively and to be sane through all the things, good, better, and different, to maintain my sanity, right? Because if I don't got me, I got no shot, right? I got to keep my head clear, which is work. In fact, I would argue it's the hardest work there is. All the doing this, right? Oh, sending the emails, doing the product thing, and logistics. Oh my goodness, right? Bigger question is who's doing it? A sane person? I hope so. We've got a few sane people with their hands up right now. Arguably, I'm not going to attest to that. I'll let them make their own attestation to that. Let's start with Glenn. We got Ego, and then we got Mark. Hey, Glenn. Arguably sane, Glenn. Do you know how to unmute your microphone, sir? Is he frozen? It looks like he's frozen up. We can come back to Glenn if that's not going to work out. Oh, he's unfrozen. He's unfrozen. Here you go.
Hey, can you hear me?
I got you.
Hey, I'm gonna make it quick because I'm bouncing in and out of zones here. I'm on the road, as you can see. It's a big week for me. Something you said, John, reminded me of an old saying that I heard. We do not see things as they are. We see things as we are. And I try to remind myself of that as often as I can. And as you say, who is doing the action? Everybody, it sort of explains the difference, doesn't it, between two people doing the exact same thing and getting different results, right? And so there's that. The other thing, and this is the big thing, and I'll let it go with this, you said, what can I cause? Do something. What can I do? Well, my friend, I am about to do a whole heck of a lot of causing. The book goes live tomorrow.
Woo! Well done, Glenn.
So fired up, my man. Can't wait. I'll keep y'all posted. Gotta run. Love y'all. Back to you, John.
Keep on running. All right. That was a great song by Journey, by the way. Keep on running. Hey, we got Ego, we got Mark, and then Bill. Hey, Ego.
Hi everyone. So John, this topic is really apt, and we were having the conversation before we went live, right? About like the lockdowns and the tears. And one of the things I wanted to say after Neil's comment about Christmas being cancelled. I mean, it's something that I've been hearing. It's a common sentence in England right now, right? And when I first heard it, my point was, who has the right to cancel my Christmas? I've had 53 Christmases, and so what if Christmas this year is different. It's different because, yeah, I can't see my family, or, you know, whatever it is that the disruption is. And I said to myself, only this morning, you know, as we became aware of, you know, like the tearing, because, you know, it's free movement here in Qatar. And I said, what can I do? I'm looking forward to being locked down again so that I can focus, I can plan, I can put action to some of the plans that I've made. And some of the things that I noted down were distress, discomfort, disruption of plan is really a learning and a growth opportunity, right? So what can I do differently to even boost the plans that I had, the goals that I had? And I know that with more time, it's an opportunity for me. I will do something with that time. I would spend it wisely. And then another thing that kind of came to mind when I was reading the, you know, like the first chapter of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think it was in the foreword or Inside Out, basically saying about our perceptions. And that's actually true. It's similar to what we talked about a number of months ago with regards to how we see failure, seeing failure as an opportunity, right? So failure is really the event, and we're separating ourselves from this event. So yes, we have new rules in place. It doesn't, what meaning, like you said, what meaning are we attaching to this new event? It will become what we make it, what we ascribe to it, right? So if I say, oh my God, my world has fallen apart because you know, I can't see, I can't do, I can't have because of these regulations, then so be it. If on the other hand, I say, because of these new rules, here's what I can be, do, have. It's an opportunity for me to write an ebook, for example. I had no plans to do that, but now I know when I get back home, I'm going to be locked down for 14 days anyway. I'm going to be in isolation for 14 days. So I like that idea of being mindful and intentional about the meaning that we ascribe to any event. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if I get a bad health report tomorrow, what meaning, the meaning I ascribe to it determines the outcome. And it works every time because thoughts are things, right? And, you know, we all know the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Ego. As you were saying that, I was hearing the boldness of it, right? So, because thoughts are things, right? You actually qualified your conclusion with a precept, right? With a principle. And I'm thinking for those like ignorant bystanders, right? Who may look at you and how causative you choose to be in your life. They may accept or reject that for themselves, but I think you showing up as that is part of the solution in the world, right? I don't think we need any more victims. I think we got lots of victims, right? We need leaders. And that's what I hear when I hear Ego talk. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Let's go to Mark Riggle and then Bill. Hey, Mark.
Hey, John. Thank you. You made a comment, or you made a brief comment towards the end of what you were talking about this morning that all of a sudden just kind of captured something I wanted to speak to. I really hadn't planned to say anything, but when you said that, something hit me, and it was about filters. Boy, we live a life of filters, internal and external. And in my life, I'd say that while I've certainly had a lot of external filters that have affected me through my life, things that I can't do that decide what direction, where I go, and so forth, I'd say also that a lot of the filters that I have contended with are self-imposed. I'm a product of my environment, but as all our readings have done, as this venue has shown, this can change. The first book that I really spent time, it was a short read, was the Allen book, As a Man Thinketh. I mean, I wish I had read that thing when I was, pre, 20. back in a young, but if I had done that at the stage I was in my life at that time, would I have had the same, just the same reflection because the experiences that I've had? I'd argue probably not, because maybe my ego, my arrogance, my youthfulness was like, yeah, whatever. And I figured out myself. Now I look at in the course of life, in those travels, now I'm at a point in my life that I look back on that, and now I have wisdom and experiences that say this is a good time for you to have read this and to interpret and understand what it really means and put it into action, have some understanding of it. I keep coming back to this venue, John. I mean, I've been with you guys since March. This venue has been my reset button for my life. I really believe that. People, if you think I've drank the Kool-Aid, you're damn right. If you think I'm part of a cult, you're damn right. And I'm proud of it. And I love being here. And I love being part of this family. And it has done so much for me. Stuart and I have gone round and round about this in our early days about what this meant. And we had a number of people here who were very agreeing to this, and that without this venue, where would we have all been in the environment of the entrepreneur, in these new directions that we were going in this, the internet-based, this e-commerce environment, and the peaks and the valleys that we were dealing with? Good Lord, this was, well, in my estimation, was well over 50% of any value of any cost that I put into anything I did here. And I am still here today. And I still look at this as the conduit from my morning, my miracle morning and my savers approach to later in the day. It's just now it is religion. It is part of my life every single morning. This is what I do. If I miss a day or we do something on the weekend, I go like, oh my gosh, this is really out of step for me. And so the sort of this Monday is a great reset. And there's times that I just keep going on the weekends and doing my shakes and those kind of things for my health, as we know. So to those who are still kind of wondering, hopefully everybody here is kind of lockstep at this point, but the whole idea of filters, we can set our own filters, or not. We can open up and let the filters be very positive and have that kind of influence on ourselves and establish the direction we want to go and what we want to accept or not accept. And I want to have great positivity. I want to be around a group of people that are like-minded, that do that same thing, and that keep me focused in that direction, because that dark rabbit hole is sitting right around the corner there, just waiting for an invitation. And I'm going like, you can go, what, to yourself. And I'm not allowing that to happen. Not in my life. Not now. Thank you. Thank everybody here.
Thank you. Yeah, that rabbit hole is pretty seductive, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So something you were saying that I think was pretty profound, and of course, tongue in cheek, talking about cults and religions and stuff. I think any discipline, okay, not that we're here to create, disciples or devotees, right? But any discipline, when adhered to, you'll see it bear fruit as it is doing in your life, and it could occur as like a religious type experience for yourself. But if we look at it, I was alluding to a spiritual approach earlier, right? If I'm just being quiet and observing the bigger picture, right? I could say that's a spiritual experience, regardless of by what route I got to it, right? That filter, just kind of taking those filters off, that resonated with you, the idea of filters, and recognizing that we have them, and that I don't know the truth, right? I know my thoughts about the truth, which, the truth is prior to my thoughts about it. So everything that I'm experiencing is filtered. And if we can recognize that we need an oil change sometimes, right? I mean, your car, I got a nice new filter, and you don't anymore, right? It's been 5,000 miles. So, yeah, I think that right there is such a profound recognition. Now you can do something about it, right? Whether you label it religious or whatever. So, Mark, thank you for being here, man. And thank you for your leadership. We're going to hear from you on Christmas Eve. You've got the final general session of the Christmas season. So I'm excited to hear what you do there. Good stuff. All right, we got Bill and we got Mandy. Let's go to Bill and then Mandy. Hey, Bill.
Hi, John. Hi, guys. Brilliant. as per ever. Really good subject. And I have to say, please excuse the voice because I've had a cough since my granddaughter gave me this a while back. It's not COVID, and I don't think it goes over Zoom anyway. Well, I hope not anyway. But what great speakers, John here. Ego just summed that up perfectly. I love hearing her talk. She always has something inspiring to say, but she sums it up really well. I mean, our meaning ascribed determines outcome. My God, that's 100% nail on the head. And it is something that I have grown to realize over this last lot of months with this group, that's what it's all about. It's what we ascribe to everything. I said about you, John, a couple of weeks ago about, you looking down the camera, and I felt you were looking at me saying, stop playing the bloody victim. And I thought, yeah, he's right. But the happiest people in the world can have crap days. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that it's all going to end. I am now making that choice, obviously, that it's not going to end my world. And we've got to move on with it. Grateful, yes, absolutely. And just what you said earlier about health and rich and everything, I said that today. I took myself out for a whole hour and a half while the shops were open and did all my Christmas shopping in an hour and a half. How many women here can say that? And the shops that I went into, and I said to them, I had myself on a timer, and I just says, I've been here an hour and a half, and look what I've got. Everything, bang, bought, yes, sold. But I just said to the last guy that I was in the shop with, and I was buying something for myself, and I just says, boy, am I grateful to be able to be here, to have the money to do this. I don't earn a lot of money, not yet, it's coming. But I have the money to do this and do it now, and to get stuff to give to other people. And that's what it's all about, obviously, is giving, but it's nice to treat yourself. So it is. I yesterday I ran down to the nursing home for my mum and give in a handful of Christmas cards, some addresses, some stamps, and the girls very kindly, because they're still in total lockdown, they were going to, or sorry, it was 2 days ago I did this. They were going to do all the writing of the cards, etc. for mum, and she would sign them and whatever. So I got a card today from my mum. I wasn't on the list, but obviously somebody in the home decided, hey, he's done this for everybody else. Why doesn't mum send him a card anyway? So that was quite good, totally unexpected. But your freedom of thought, John, today, dealing with dictators, dealing with all that really, really bad, dark stuff that you were talking about at the start, it always goes back to me, and back to one of the first things you introduced to us, conformity. Earl Nightingale, secret, it's one of the biggest killers is conformity. And one of the most dangerous things in the world today is a free mind. Somebody that isn't conforming to everything. Now, I don't mean that if you're a nonconformist, you're a criminal. You just think that little bit wider and look at things in a totally different aspect, or come at it from a totally different angle. If you don't mind, I've written down loads of notes here, John, today. I'm just everything that you guys were saying, including Mark and his cult. As long as we don't have to do mass suicide, I'm fine with that, Mark. I'll go with it. But I'm not going to go down everything, because I'll be here all evening, and I can hear, and I'm sorry, Kim, I can hear you talking, because I diverse and go all over the place as well. If she's here, I don't know if she's here today, but I just hear Kim saying, oh, I'm going all over the place. Yeah, I do that too. But I'm going to leave you with a bright note as we approach Christmas. And it's a bright note with a bad word. And prepare your little ears, my friends. But looking at things from different angles, there used to be a program on BBC Radio 4 called The Psychiatrist's Chair. Some of our friends in England would probably know it quite well. And the psychiatrist was an Irish guy that used to interview some very interesting people. And he happened to interview this other psychiatrist this time. who used a quote from somewhere around the 1930s, where he described a contemporary of his as a spherical bastard. Quite strong for BBC Radio 4. It's pretty classy radio station, doesn't usually use that sort of language. But
did you say spherical, like a sphere?
A spherical, like a, yep, okay. Round. Okay. So the psychiatrist asked him to explain what he meant by a spherical bastard. And he says, well, he said, a sphere is a sphere no matter what angle you look at it from. So that's what he was describing this contemporary. And I just thought, yeah, sometimes we've just got to look at life like that. And that sums it up. John, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill, for that profundity. There's that, everyone. Let's go to Mandy, and then Lindsay is here. Hey, Mandy, what's going on?
Hi, John. Hiya. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, like Bill said, I've got quite a few notes written down here, so I'll try not to diverse all over the place. Viktor Frankl, that book has been on my bookshelf for about 15, 20 years. I haven't read all of it, and I think the reason for that is because I think at that time, and sometimes even now, if I go to sad things, I get too sad and I get too much, and so I don't follow them. But I know that one thing he was saying was about having control over his thoughts and the freedom. And I was thinking about the victims you were talking about, as well as us here. We're lucky here because we've probably been doing a lot of self-help work for years. And you think the mental health in the country has gone downhill. And I think that's because a lot of people, young and old, are not used to being on their own at all. So they make themselves busy so they don't have to face the thoughts in their heads. What's happened with COVID is they've stopped being busy. They can't go anywhere. They've got locked down, in March and everything else. And they start thinking of all the thoughts, and then they start putting them over and over in their heads. And so they've got like Think and Grow Rich. They're getting a fear of ill health. They don't want to get ill. Then they're getting a fear of death. And everything is snowballing for them. And then obviously finance and that aren't helping. And then nurses and doctors are facing it every day. So every day they're facing death all the time. And you can't get away from it. But we're luckier now. So from my side, I lost my job in May time, and then I luckily found the Amazon opportunities. I found JLSM. So all the way through it, my year didn't start very well, but I've just found it each time. I'm just grateful for what's coming out and that the finances are still going. I love the work that I'm doing. I am now in tier 4. So I'm in a tier where we have sort of cancelled Christmas. I'm not surprised because I saw in my son's school, who's just had to self-isolate for 10 days, that there were 7 teachers and 10 students in a week that got the virus. And before that, it was like 1 or 2 a week. We could see something was happening. And I'm also lucky that I don't have a big close family. And so I haven't got anything really big arranged to go and see them. So moving on from there. So there was a book by Susan Jeffers, who's somebody who I've always loved. And her book was called End the Struggle and Dance with Life. And she talked about what you said before, which is if you have a lemon, make a lemonade. And so you do what you've got with what you have. And in answer to your question about how do you stop thinking about or stop getting into the situation where they are going round and round in circles, it's trying to stop following those thoughts. But they don't know to do that because they haven't had all the work and done all the work on themselves that we've done. So they don't know about stopping their thoughts. And that's where it's really hard for them, because we can do it because we've done some of that work. So it's getting to the point where if this thought comes along, you say, no, I'm not following that thought. And over the years, that's what I've been able to do. Because of my situation, I have been on my own every other Christmas for probably 10 years. So some of those years, at the beginning, I think I was feeling sorry for myself. And then over the years, 2 years ago, what I did was I found somewhere where they put this whole dinner on for elderly people. And there was about 25 of them, and I was a driver. I went and picked up 2 of them. I took them to a place, and everybody was just giving them this Christmas dinner. And it was just go out there and do something. It was just so lovely to see these people enjoying themselves and singing them songs and everything. They can't have that this year, but I think they're going out and they're going to go and do hampers for them. It is a bit like what Ego was saying. So I'm saying Christmas isn't cancelled. It is up to us to make Christmas special in our own way. When I was on my own for New Year's and I couldn't go out because James was really, really young, I would put a Robbie Williams DVD on or something, and I'd stick headphones on and I'd dance around the room. I'd still get dressed up. I'd do something, just do something to make it different. Do something that makes it special for you. I know it's tough for the elderly people who think that they were going to go and meet people. I can totally understand. But you have a choice. You can either sit here and get sad about it, or you do something about it. So this year, I'm on my own again. So I thought, what can I do? And what I thought was I can put a quiz together for the JLSM family if they want it. So that's what I started doing for Christmas Day. So watch out, if nobody else is doing anything, you may have a quiz on Christmas Day for those people who are on their own and haven't got anything else to do. And so that's it. We have to make it ourselves. But I do feel sad for the others that haven't got to that point yet and wish I could help them more. Yeah.
Thank you, Mandy. So do you have an idea about something we can do a bit more publicly on Christmas Day? I mean, we've got a Zoom account, we've got a hospitality.
I've got I managed to find some quiz questions, and I can do it over Zoom on the hospitality suite.
Did you say quiz questions?
It's a general knowledge quiz. So it's a general knowledge quiz, trying to make, I mean, I don't know, the hardest thing is trying to make it at a time where everybody can make it. And
Right.
It's really hard for people on the Pacific coast, whatever you call it, on the west side, because you're 8 hours behind.
Right. Okay. Well, in our Facebook group, everybody post your plans, right? We got chats going on in there, and yeah. So thank you, Mandy,
Yes,
and thank you everyone who's intending to spend Christmas via the interwebs, and have some sort of an event here. This is going to be, we'll accommodate it. That's beautiful. Thank you, Mandy, and thank you for hosting Books for Britain. So everybody get excited about that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to Lindsay and then Ivy. Hey, Lindsay Dollar.
Hey. I was gonna say I am drinking lemonade, so I drink some Kool-Aid too.
Well done.
But yeah, I've always looked at laws, rules as suggestions at best. I have integrity. I'm not a criminal. And my dog.
Where's the dog?
Well, my son's yelling at him now.
Oh, I'd love to see the dog. If you can get that dog on camera, that would be great.
I can do that.
All right.
Yes, he doesn't like FedEx it's UPS. He doesn't like. But no, I'm just always, I don't mind making a spectacle of myself. I'm actually kind of shy, but however, it is what it is. I mean, like last Christmas we weren't on lockdown, but my mom was in the middle of chemo and my son had the flu. Maybe it was COVID, I'm not sure. But I went to her house and looked at her through the window. I mean, it was what it was. I was going to see my mom and she's fine now. She's great. She came out of chemo and 100% during COVID. And I'm so thankful and grateful for that. But I just don't think, I don't know, I heard say Mark was saying he drank the damn Kool-Aid. Yes. And conformity. I would really make a spectacle of myself. I am pretty shy, but I'm trying to get over that. But it is what it is. Let's go make the best of it.
Fantastic. And here you are, Lindsay. And I think we've all witnessed a bit of evolution going on with you. So so glad you're here and expressing yourself, and not just here, but out into the marketplace as well. So good times, my friend. All right, let's I think we got one more hand up, and that is Ivier Barnabas. We'll get Ivier out here. Hey, Ivier.
Hello, John. Hello, everyone. Just a heads up, there is a Facebook post on the JLSM page on the 28th of December at 1 p.m. EST. All the children and grandchildren of JLSM members will be coming onto the hospitality suite to say thank you for their Christmas presents. So for as many of us as are available, please, please, please share the link with your grandchildren. Make sure they're there. John is of the mind, and I agree totally that we need to learn and teach them how to, manners basically. So when you get a gift, you come and you say thank you. So that's the essence of that call. So it shouldn't be very long, but it's just for the children to say thank you to the respective JLSM family members that gifted them. Yeah. So 28th of December, 1 p.m. EST. Thank you, everybody.
Very good. I will get that on the calendar as well. Thank you, Ivier.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. And I think there was a couple of things, obviously, to offer acknowledgement when you've received something, that's good. But also one of the things that we've talked about many times as people in business, as marketers and, business owners, is making yourself known in the marketplace. Mark just said he wished he had read a certain book, prior to completing his adolescence or whatever. Well, what if we can get children to start expressing themselves, in a safe, group and whatever, closed community. And hey, I'm Trinity, right? I'm John's daughter. And thank you, whoever my gift angel was. She knows who her gift angel was. The same girl who made the Christmas cookie book. But thank you. Lindsay's got a dog. Lindsay, make some noise. I got to see that dog. Let's get you unmuted.
Well, he's not barking anymore, but I don't think he likes to.
What a good looking dog.
He likes to hurt people.
He does. He just don't like UPS. He's a good
John?
dog.
What's up?
My son, he likes to slip and watch the.
Good to see you. All right. Thank you for sharing the dog. That is a good looking dog right there. All right. As you guys know, if a dog barks while your microphone is unmuted, you must present the dog so we can all enjoy it. But the idea here is that kids can have a little bit of self-expression, and in a family, right? In a group of friendly people. So let's go ahead and wrap up with that. I'll get that on the calendar. Thank you guys for being here. We do have our hospitality suite, which is open as soon as we end this meeting, and then we do have at 3 p.m. Eastern. So we're going early today to help accommodate our friends across the pond. We're going to have the e-commerce work group with Stuart at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so that's just a couple hours from now. Add 5 hours, so that's 8 p.m. UK time. And then 9 p.m. Eastern here in the United States, middle of the night for UK, crack of dawn in Australia. We are doing the first portion of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey on our book study. So I will see you guys there. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for being a part of this group. We'll see you again real. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Jane, Neil, you got a hand up? I'm about to cut it off. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Jane?
sorry, John. Just about tonight with Stuart. We're basically having a pre-Christmas question and answer session. So we're all going to be there. So tonight is the night. If you've got a burning question about e-commerce, PPC, your listing, anything, come along tonight.
Very good. All right. Very good, you guys. So that's 2 hours from now. You guys go live in 2 hours.
Yeah, that's right.
Bring your pre-Christmas questions there. All right. Anybody else? Did I miss anybody? All right. I had almost terminated the